Well, the Modern Warfare 4 first weekend of the beta is officially over, and today I'm going to be breaking down my thoughts on the first weekend, how the future of the game looks, how the current game is playing, and just everything I have with my current feels. We have some gameplay in the background from the weekend, and I'm just going to be talking about both my pros and my cons of this first weekend. Let's get right into some of my pros. Actually, let's go right into my rating. I would give this game currently, I'd say I'm hovering between a 7, like a 6.5 to 7 to 7.5. I know that's kind of confusing, and I'd put it right in the middle. I'd probably go with a 7 if I had to give my final answer. A 7 out of 10. For a Call of Duty title in the beta, we're only seeing about, I think we saw, 5 maps, a limited amount of guns, only level 20, all those different things. 7 out of 10 to me is super fair for this beta. I think that it has a lot of problems that I'm going to address in this video, but I do think it's a step in the right direction. It's a good foundational base and what a beta should be. I think if they work in these next 2 months, listens to the community in both the first weekend and the second weekend, I think they can really make a good game. And I think for me, I would give it a 7 out of 10, and I'd be pretty happy with that, considering
I think a lot of the hate that this game is getting, I think it's a little overhated, but I consider it better to be Black Ops. Oh, it's so hard. I think the last 3 CODs are such a hard CODs to rate, because I think Black Ops 6 had, like, the potential to be super good, and Black Ops 7 is better than Black Ops 6. But do I think this game's better than Black Ops 7? Yes, but you know what I mean? Like, it's this weird thing where I think, like, Black Ops 7, right, is better than Black Ops 6. But I think this game's better than Black Ops 7, but I don't think it's better than Black Ops 6. You know what I'm saying? Where I think the potential of Black Ops 6 at its core was higher than this game's potential, but a little confusing side tangent there. Let me
get back on track. I think this game is good. I think it's better than Black Ops 7. I'll just say that. Okay, I didn't play a whole lot of Black Ops 7. I think Black Ops 7 is a underrated game. I made a whole other video on why Black Ops 7, in my opinion, was super underrated and a good game. But I think that, unfortunately, it has a lot of problems, and I think its style of game isn't my favorite. But I do love the movement. I'm not a huge fan of the wall bounce, even though, like, as a player who really enjoys movement, I think that it made, I don't know how to explain this. I saw this Shotzi clip, and again, big Shotzi guy here, no bias or anything, but he said, do you like the movement of Black Ops 6 and Black Ops 7? He said, I mean, yeah, of course, but I like the movement better in MW4 or MW3 because it takes more skill, and that's something that I think Black Ops 7 kind of, the movement is so good that it's a little too easy. Like, it's a little too fast. And I think that's something with MW4 that I want to see them find a balance. I think it's way too hard, even for the good player. Even when you are, like, moving, you still feel like you're kind of clunky and your gun weighs a lot. And you're, like, in quicksand and you don't feel super smooth. I think it needs to find the balance between not too crazy with Black Ops 7, but also kind of that crisp, people love MW 2019's movement, like a mix between MW 2019 movement and MW3 that came out just a couple of years ago. So for me, the movement is something we're going to talk about in the cons list, but I think it's something to bring up in comparison to the other games. I really think the base of this game is really good. I'm excited for what it showcases with, DMZ and Warzone and multiplayer in general, but I think it's a good foundational base. For me, I'm going to talk about the pros first, because let's talk about the positives before I go to the negatives, because I think the negatives have more tangents I can talk about. But I do want to talk about the pros. The first thing is the gunplay. I think the gunplay in this game is pretty satisfying. Apart from the visual clutter and, like, visual problems that it has when you're shooting, like, my gun shouldn't be shaking. This is something that Call of Duty, like, continues to have these problems about. We talked about with MW2. The community talked about it, where it's like, dude, I don't want visual clutter. I'm playing an arcade shooter, and my super soldier sprints across maps. Why is my gun bobbing? Like, I don't want to play a game like that. So I think the gunplay is satisfying. I'd like some new sound effects and stuff. I'm trying to keep it on the pros, but I just kind of get on these tangents. I think the gunplay is decent. I think it's that Modern Warfare kind of style where it is just a little bit more satisfying than some Treyarch games. But the gunplay can also improve. I think it's a good foundational base, but they need to make it, like, why is my gun having visual clutter? Why is it bouncing? Why, all those different things. I think the style, to me, is probably my favorite thing about this beta. I really do like Treyarch games. Don't get me wrong. I'm more of a Black Ops fan than I am a Modern Warfare fan. But that being said, I think the style of this game is really nice. The UI and the lobbies. I know it's something that, like, gets maybe, like, underappreciated or overhated is, like, how bad not those words don't go hand in hand. What I'm trying to get at is like the menus are a big part of the game, and I think that's something with Black Ops 6, 7, MW3, MW2. Menus are gross, dude. We were seeing it all over gaming. I think I talked about that with Black Ops 7. Like, the menus are gross. They're Robloxifying every menu, and it's just so clunky and so gross. It was really nice to have a nice menu, and I hope they can carry that forward. I know COD HQ is probably going to come, or not probably, it is going to come for MW4. I've talked my shame about, like, the COD HQ, but I think the style of the game, how it visually looks, it's modern. It doesn't feel insane. It feels nice. Like, I like the game I'm playing. I think it is a very pretty game as well. I'm playing my graphics almost all the way on low, and I still think the game looks very appeasing. There's more colors on the map, which is something we've talked about also, or like the last couple COD games, I mean, not the Treyarch games necessarily, but like MW3 and MW2 especially, and Vanguard, the maps need color, and you're kind of seeing that these maps have a little bit more color. You have that like that city map that has some colors to it. But I would like to see even more colors and just variety in the maps. Probably my favorite thing about the beta, I think I might have said that about style, but another huge thing is they're really listening to feedback. There is a post that they just made that said, hey, we're listening to feedback about movement, about TTK, about all this. Here, we're going to change this. We're going to add this map. We're going to nerf this gun. And I think that is really, really good to see. It's a beta. They should be listening like this. There's that one side where you can be a hater and be like, how is this not getting play tested? How are the people and the creators who came out months ago and talked about these issues to you guys face to face, and you guys didn't listen then? Why are you listening now? But they're listening now. It's really hard for me to be like, well, they should have listened when they had the opportunity. Well, this is the beta. The game is not out yet. This is not the first week. Even though I would still appreciate changes in the first week, it is the beta. This is when the mass changes should happen. This is when they should have all hands on deck perfecting their craft, so that even the problems that aren't getting fixed immediately, they can go into and prepare and fix by October 29th or 27th or whatever it is, which is about 2 months away from when I'm recording this video. So they still have time to fix and to do a lot of those issues that the community wants. And there are some things we're going to talk about in cons that they can definitely fix. I already talked about the visual clutter. That's something that I would appreciate if they fixed, and I don't understand why it's in the game in general. It's something that was hated on, taken out of, and COD just needs to, like, the community shouldn't be re-emphasizing these types of games. Like, it is, we're re-emphasizing the same thing every single year, and it's like, why? Like, I don't understand why we're re-emphasizing the same stuff and they're just not listening. Like, we shouldn't necessarily have to go through this feedback loop because the community has told you what it's wanted for the last 7 years. There's a clip of Jev talking about it on MW3 where he's like, we're going to be back here in 4 years and 3-4 years, and we're going to be talking about the same conversation, and it's literally what is going on. So I think it's predictable, but it's getting fixed. They're listening, and it's something that I will respect them and appreciate from them. My next point is open matchmaking. One separate queue. Now, there is a lot of hate about matchmaking. We will get into SBMM. It is the last point I will make because I could probably go on the longest tangent about it. I have thought about making countless videos about skill-based matchmaking and how the whole matchmaking system is literally so stupid. I talked about it in my Black Ops 7 video that I posted a couple days ago as well. But the saving point of this beta was open matchmaking Mosh Pit, which just had all the modes and open matchmaking in itself. So for me, open matchmaking was the only way to play the game. I tried to play with my dad just on normal, core gameplay, and we tried to play hardpoint domination, and it was insane. There was genuinely a game, not to throw my dad under the bus, where he genuinely went 0-18 through an entire team deathmatch game, and I think I probably went like 14-18. Like it maybe the numbers aren't exact, but like something where he was literally like, okay, I think I'm gonna get off, and I'm like, I don't blame you. Like, how is that fun? And I am, not to toot my own horn, I think I'm a good player. 14-18 in team deathmatch is insane, but we were getting spawn trapped into chopper, into mortar, like off rip, right? It's just one of those where it's like, skill-based matchmaking is genuinely insane, and for the S&D playlist, it was in the like core mosh pit, which meant it was so sweaty that some of my boys were so excited to play search, and then we 6-stack search queued, and it was grossly sweaty, like insanely sweaty. I think it's a huge problem, and yeah, just not a great system. We'll talk more about that as we get into it, but I think the pros is the open matchmaking. Curious about their data that they're coming up with about open matchmaking and whatever, but truthfully, it needs a revamp, and Black Ops 6 and Black Ops 7, sorry, not Black Ops 6, Black Ops 7 took a step in the right direction. Please don't go 5 steps back. I would also say, as my last pros, there's probably more pros I could come up with, but I think these are the main ones I want to talk about. That when I was brainstorming this video, I genuinely could only come up with like 5 pros. And that's not to say it's not a bad game. I just think the cons are close enough to being pros. Like, some of my cons I'm going to talk about, like hipfire being way too good. Like, it's not a super bad con. It's very, very fixable. So, I don't think it's the most negative thing in the world. But the pros, maps are decent. I think all of the maps are pretty decent. I know like Transit is kind of like a shipment-y, super crazy fest, and then all the other maps are pretty decent. None of them stand out to me as being super good. None of them stand out to be super awful in my opinion. My least favorite map of the beta was the city map. I just didn't like the way it played on any game mode, to be completely honest with you. But I think all the maps are pretty decent. I've heard some hate for every single map. I've heard some praise for every single map. So I think that goes to show that maps are pretty decent, especially for an Infinity War title, which they normally come up with the worst of the worst maps. I think these map sets are decent. I wouldn't say good. I wouldn't say great. I wouldn't say amazing. But they are good, and they're a foundational base. If every map was like this in the game, I'd be like, okay, it's a decent game. I just don't want to see maps that are worse than this, if that makes sense. But yeah, I think the way they responded to updates and to broken things and whatever was a really good sign. But maybe get some more playtesters playing your game so some stuff gets fixed. Because that ISO being the first gun you use and for it to be that broken, like, I don't understand. Like, are we not playtesting? But whatever. Let's get into the con side of the beta. First off, like I talked about, hipfire being way too good. There is like clips where I'm not even aiming in, and the hipfire is just like perfect accuracy. I know they were maybe talking about it in one of like the trailers or something, tweaking hipfiring, and I haven't actually seen a whole lot of people talk about hipfire being way too good, but I've personally noticed like hipfiring is broken. Like, I don't know, not like hipfiring in the way like, oh, primary hipfiring. It's just like from the hip before you ADS in that transitional time, because ADSing is so slow in this game, hipfiring feels insane. So it's something I'd like to see them tweak. I doubt they will. They have bigger fish to fry, but I'd like to see them just simmer it down a little bit. It feels absolutely insane. On to the movement. We kind of talked a little bit about it. Tack sprint in general should just go away. And I'm going to pause for a second, because I think I have had that opinion, and the community have had that opinion for a while. I don't understand adding an extra element of sprint that barely does anything and absolutely slows down your character's movement. And you're going to be like, what do you mean? It speeds your character up. You move faster when you tack sprint. And it's like, yeah, but then when you go to ADS, your guy's taking longer. You're like, I just want to run at top speed without compensating other things. And that's like not a crazy thought. We have had that in Black Ops 7, in Black Ops 6, just moving at a good speed, right? Like, there is a lot about the movement, and I think tack sprint in general, like if they were like, okay, Jeter, you get to change one thing about movement, what is it? Is it your character's weight? No, it is tack sprint out of the game. It is, I'm jamming my thumb trying to tack sprint. Why do I have to have, and if you put tack sprint assist on, you're going to lose gunfights more because you have the setting on, because it is literally going to hurt you in gunfights. It makes your reaction time could be insta-fast, but because your character is doing the tack sprint, it's stuck in an animation before you can even do anything. So it's very, very frustrating. You can only tack sprint for like 5 seconds, and you can't do it for another 20. Like, should we slide cancel and get it back? I don't know. There's so much about tack sprint I don't like in general. I have a post like saying we shouldn't lose tack sprint as fast. I would love to just lose tack sprint in general, but if it's something that needs to be in the game, it just needs to be better. Like, we have a stamina bar at the bottom. Like, it's terrible. The movement is a problem. The guns feel heavy. The movement is feeling like you're stuck in mud. After the first day and not really getting used to it, I was really not a big fan. Going from Omni movement from Black Ops 7, I was playing Black Ops 7 leading up to this game, coming like back into COD after taking a little bit of break. I was not a fan of this game's movement at all. I can understand why people felt like it was like kind of like MW 2019, but it felt like more like MW2 from just a couple of years ago, and I think that's not a good thing at all. Now, I will say, as the beta went on, I felt like the movement felt a little bit better. I got a little bit more used to it, but I do think we are taking a step back in general, removing Omni movement. I know that's a hot take. People do not like Omni movement. I'm not talking about the wall bounce. I'm talking about the ability to sprint in left and right and backwards and having full control of your character. Okay? That is not, I'm not saying super speed. I would love the current speed of the game, right? That's what I want, but the ability to fully control my character. If I want to sprint backwards, I should be able to. Sprint sideways, I should be able to, right? It is kind of confusing why that's something out of the game when like it's a real life thing. Like you can backpedal faster. It's not like you're stuck walking faster. Of course, you can sprint forward faster, and I still think you should be able to do that, but you still can move laterally and backwards fast. You shouldn't be like, oh, can't do that. Like, we're not like, I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me. It does feel a little clunkier than it maybe should. And we saw Infinity Ward talk about the movement, which clearly the community is talking about that. But I don't hate the movement. I think it is better than Black Ops 7's movement potential. If you are playing a sweaty game in Black Ops 7, the movement in that game is absurd. It is like you're playing like Splitgate on crack, right? I want to play a Call of Duty game like MW3. Again, that's like the best recent COD, like Black Ops Cold War, where the movement feels like it can be to your advantage, but not at your disadvantage. And that's what I'm trying to figure out with this game. The movement right now, I would give it about a 6.5 out of 10, at like a 6. I think it's okay, but I would love it to be more fluid. If they can find a way to make it more fluid, make the difference between using an SMG and an AR not so drastic, right? Because I think when you're using SMG, you feel really good, and then you use an AR, and you're like, holy crap, I can't move. And I get you might be saying, well, you shouldn't be moving as fast. But it's like, yeah, but then the pistol doesn't even feel that good. Like, I think it just needs to be a little bit more fluid, and it could be so good. But I think the base of it is not terrible. I was not a fan at first. My first day thoughts were not super good about the movement, but I think as the beta went on and I played more, I did enjoy the movement. I'm going to miss Omni movement, but I'm not going to miss Black Ops 7 Omni movement, if that kind of makes sense. I just think the wall bounce was a little bit too much. I like the wall bounce. I like jetpack games in general, but I'm okay to not do the wall bounce again for at least this year. Attachments need a complete overhaul. I think Black Ops 7 again did another very good thing with making like not every attachment has to have a negative, right? Why is it so hard to get ADS speed in this game without hurting another ADS thing? So if I put this scope on my gun, my ADS speed hurts. Dude. like why is it so hard to make your gun feel fast and responsive? Why can if I put a long barrel on, am I hurting every other thing in my thing? I think attachments in general need a fix. They are so bad in this game. It feels like when you're building your gun out, you're just like, how many more negatives can I have? Like, if I go to an ADS speed stock, I think I'm going to lose movement speed. It's like, dude, can I just have like an ADS attachment that isn't hurting anything else? Like, it feels so drastic in how you're building these guns in a negative way. And I think they need to do a couple different things to fix that. It doesn't seem very hard. A lot of the different CODs didn't feel like they had this issue. It's something that I think they can easily fix, but I do think it needs fixing. Map spawns are awful. They need fixed, or they need to be fixed. I think that they have released an update where all the spawns are going to be fixed. Tomorrow's update, blah, 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 are going to fix them. That's just a good step in the right direction. I think spawning in modern Call of Duties are a lot harder than people are. It's an issue that Call of Duty has tried to, I don't want to say address because I think they're not addressing it, but it's an issue that has happened in a lot of modern Call of Duties that realistically the spawns have not been very good. It's harder. The games are a lot faster than some of the other games just with the modern movement and engines. Like you play like a map like Standoff and it plays nothing like when you're playing on the BO2 ports. Like it's nothing like that. But I do think the spawns are just not good. I'm trying to read the spawns. Like I'm playing rooftops, kill confirmed. 5 of my teammates are pressing like the A flag or C flag, whatever side, and they are in their spawn and they are force spawning on that side instead of like spawning the other side. It's like mind-boggling. Like, why are they force spawning there? There's like 8 different spawns they could go to, but it feels like their force spawning is so bad. I've had multiple occasions where people are spawning in my face, and I don't even want to talk about like transit spawns. They're terrible, but transit is a small map. I don't want to like harp on every transit issue because it's a small map and it's hard to make spawns based on the systems, but I think other maps like rooftops and some of the others can have better spawns. Another thing about the movement I have down is slide into ADS is just so delayed. Like when I do my slide, I should not feel like my guy is like just struggling to get the gun up. If that is something that is like going to happen, I think the slide is just going to be less useful. You're not getting your tac sprint reset by sliding. You're not getting your ADS up fast by sliding. I just don't think taking the slide away is a good step. I think the slide is a satisfying and rewarding movement in the game, and it is not too much. We're not talking about the wall bounce. We're not talking about the G slide from Black Ops 7. We're not talking about any of those things. We're talking about just a slide feeling fundamentally good and giving you an advantage when used right. Sliding at a bad thing is easier for bad players, right? When you slide, your character's head is going chest level, which is where a player is less or more likely to be aimed, right? And the headshot multiplier in this game is insane. So, like, it can be unrewarding to slide, but it needs to have the upside that when used right, you can outplay your opponent. It's another thing about the movement. The last two and the biggest 2 cons on my list, the TTK. The TTK in this game is absurdly fast. I feel like I'm dying in 3 bullets, in 2 bullets, non-stop. Whichever gun kills me, I'm like, holy crap. I tweeted this out after day 1. I was like, the base HP needs to go up like 50, like minimum. It needs to, because I'm dying so fast, and that was when the ISO was super, super good. And even when they nerfed the ISO, it still felt insane. The burst in that game is insane. Every gun, you're getting evaporated. I'm sliding and I just die so fast. It's unrewarding to both the player and the player who like gets the kill and the player who dies, especially the player that dies, of course. But when you're getting a kill and it's like, wow, there's a 1 burst, there's a 1 burst, there's a 1, like, it's insane, right? And I think that there's this LMG that I just don't understand how it didn't get play tested. I saw this TP clip, and he's using this LMG, and it's using an Apex like attachment. That's kind of it. It kills in 0.43 seconds. I'm pretty sure he timed it. 0.43. That's like a bullet, less than a bullet, and it shoots like multiple bullets, whatever it is. But it is so broken, and I think it's one of those things about this game where it's like when you add in the fact you can't move to the fact that you die so fast, it's like, dude, you're playing a game that can become very frustrating very fast because you're not fluid, you don't feel free, but then you're dying instantly. So I think the TTK is so bad. They've talked about addressing it. They've made balance changes already to weapons, but I think it needs a huge, huge overhaul either into Weekend 2, but especially into the release. I think the TTK is insane. Even for an Infinity Ward game, I should not be dying in 2 bullets to every single gun. I want to have fun. I get why people might not necessarily like the Treyarch games TTK, where it just takes a little bit longer, but truthfully, it adds to a more balanced and fun game overall for most players. You shouldn't be dying instantly. I'm not playing like there were times where I was dying to an M4 where I genuinely thought I was dying to a Vandal from Valorant and dying in 1 bullet. Like, I thought I was getting 150 hit. And I was like, well, like, there it is. Like, it is just insanely fast. And they've already talked about fixing it, which is something I want to see them do. But it definitely needs a little bit of tuning. Last but not least, the most frustrating thing in Call of Duty, skill-based matchmaking. If you guys don't know, TTK also, is time to kill. If anybody doesn't know what TTK means, it's the time to kill an enemy. So, yeah, sorry for not explaining that. I understand that some people don't know every nerdy word from the game. But yeah, TTK stands for time to kill in the game. Skill-based matchmaking is skill-based matchmaking, and really the whole community is against it. I know they have their data, but I am seeing clips on Twitter. This guy gets a proximity mine 4-piece. He's not even playing the same game as me. I know that. I know that players are not playing the same game. And when my dad has to go play like by himself pretty much because the skill base is so insane, it's not fun. It's not a fun idea to be like, hey dad, like I would like to play with you, but I actually can't because your experience is going to be miserable and my experience is also going to be miserable because I have to carry the boats and the logs of the entire team, because it's like, hey, I don't care that your teammates may not be on the same skill level as you. We're going to put you against the sweatiest players in the world. Deal with it. Until you suck so many more games that we're going to put you in some better matchmaking. It is a flawed system. I can go on and on and on about skill-based. People have made fantastic videos talking about skill-based matchmaking. It is a problem, okay? And as a good player, it is very frustrating to be unrewarded by being good. And ranked play and ranked matchmaking, it is there for a reason. It is competition. When I'm just playing a game for fun, trying to make a video, whatever it might be, I don't want to play against players who are my skill level, because like I want to play against anybody and everybody. That's why I'm playing this game. When I'm not queuing to play against people my own skill. That's what I'm doing when I'm playing ranked, because I'm trying to climb and improve myself against the other players of my skill level. When I'm just playing for absolutely nothing in a pub game, it doesn't make sense. So skill base is a huge problem. This video is long. I apologize. Thank you guys so much for watching. This game has a very awesome fundamental base. I think it can be a very, very good Call of Duty game. I'm so excited to see Warzone here this next weekend, and I really, really hope it's good. If you guys enjoyed this video, remember to like and subscribe. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.